No, I'm just transferring the key over to YouTube. Make sure we capture it. Say it. Yeah. Lisa, that
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay. First, I just want to say good morning to everyone. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving and great weekend. For those of you who are in attendance, you may see the board may be a little bit off of our game, if you want to say. This is our first time actually seeing each other in person. So if you see us kind of jittery, that's just why. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The November 30th, 2021 meeting of the Charlotte Zoning Board of Adjustment is now in session. I'm Douglas Wilson, Chairman. Also sitting on today's board is Deborah Dryden, Krista Long, Marsha Williamson, and Raghu Katha. Also present are Shad Spencer, our zoning administrator, Lisa McCarter, our planning project manager, Jill Sanchez Myers, our senior assistant city attorney, Terry Edwards, our clerk to the board, and we also have the Veritex court reporting verbatim reporter here as well. I would like to start by acknowledging this is the 11th meeting of the Charlotte Zoning Board of Adjustment of 2021 and our first in-person meeting of 2021. I'd like to ask for your patience today as we proceed. There may be slight delays as we transition between speakers, participants, and presentations. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the Charlotte Zoning Ordinance. We conduct evidentiary hearings on requests for variances and appeals, among other requests. Before we begin to hear the cases on today's agenda, I would like to provide some important information on the steps that were taken to ensure that each party's due process rights are protected. Secondly, each applicant was notified before being placed on today's agenda that this meeting will be conducted in person. Third, the notice of this meeting was provided to all the applicants and the public in several ways. Notice of today's hearings were mailed to property owners within 300 feet of each subject property and notified the property owners of the in-person platform. The letters also stated to contact the city immediately if there were any objections to the cases being heard on today's agenda. Notice was also provided by placing signs on each property and by publishing notice on the city's website. The notice for today's meetings contain information about means by which the public can access today's proceedings. Finally, any individual wishing to participate in today's evidentiary hearings were required to sign up prior to today's proceedings. This information was also included on the board's website. Application for a variance for the regulations in the zoning ordinance is as follows. Application for a variance from the regulations in the zoning ordinance. The order of the recommendation agenda will be as follows. The zoning administrator or zoning staff members will identify the cases and recommend approval of the variance with any recommended conditions based on specific reasons. The chairperson will ask if anyone wants to speak in opposition. If there is such a person, then the case will be moved to the regular agenda and will be heard at a later date. The chairperson will ask if the board has questions for staff or if there are any reasons why the board wishes to move the case to the regular agenda. The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to approve the variance. Then the chairperson will hold a roll call vote. The order of the agenda will be as follows. All parties will plan to give testimony pro or con, and they must be sworn in. A zoning staff member will explain why a permit was denied or why a variance is requested. The board may question the staff member, and then the applicant may also question the staff member. The applicant presents their testimony for this case. The board member may question the applicant, and the staff member may question the applicant. The applicant may present sworn witnesses. They will be subject to questioning. Other parties wishing to speak pro or con will be given reasonable time to present sworn testimony. The staff and the applicant will be given an opportunity for rebuttal. The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to approve the variance. The chairperson will hold a roll call vote. After hearing each case, the board will review each case and render a decision. This is usually done in closed deliberations after hearing each regular case. However, the board may elect to take up to 30 days to render a decision. You may remain present during deliberations, or you may call the zoning staff after the session to receive the decision of the board. All exhibits must remain with the board. Exhibits were required to be provided to the clerk no later than 12 p.m. on Monday, November 29th, in order to be considered at this hearing. If your case is not appealed to Superior Court after 30 days, you may pick them up or they will be destroyed. If you feel there's a conflict of interest of any member of the board or any association that would prejudice your case, please let it known at the start of your case. The board is acting in a quasi-judicial capacity for purposes of this hearing and can only accept sworn testimony. While the board would not specifically exclude hearsay, evidence, it is only given limited weight. The North Carolina State Bar has issued an advisory opinion that it is the unauthorized practice of law for any individual who is not an active member of the bar to appear for another or otherwise assist or represent another at a quasi-judicial hearing on zoning and land use matters. All applicants should have been provided with a copy of that advisory opinion as part of the application packet. If you are a property owner or a non-lawyer here on behalf of a property owner and have not received a copy of that opinion, please discuss with the board's clerk of the documents and they will be provided to you. If, as a result of this advisory opinion, the applicant would like to request a continuance of his or her case, the board will consider such request at the start of that case. Appeal from this board is to the Mecklenburg County Superior Court. You have 30 days from the date of the board's written decision in which to appeal, in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 160A-388E. In order to receive a written copy of the decision, any aggrieved party must file a written request for a copy of the board's decision by filling out the form, which must be filed with the board clerk or chairperson at the time of the hearing of the case. You will hear 6 cases today, 4 recommendation agenda items, and 2 regular agenda items. And Lisa, we are just going to do something slightly different with the agenda. Shad brought to my attention that case number 2021101, that's going to be, I guess, pushed back to the next meeting. So we have to have a quick vote to do that, and then we can go to the regular agenda. And I could barely hear you, sorry. Okay, all right. How are you doing this morning? Are you you want to come back in January, December? You know what? That's right. It is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep thinking it is December already. My apologies. It is still November. My apologies about that. Okay, so you want to come back in December? Okay, got you. All right, got it. Okay, okay. So with that said, it's okay for me to call a vote now. Okay. Is there a motion to move case number 2021-101 to the December meeting?
I make a motion to move this case to the December meeting.
Okay. Motion's been moved by Deborah Dryden and seconded by Raghu Kartha. Now we move into a period of voting. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, it's been moved. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So going back to the original, my original remarks, the first case we will hear today is 2020-122, which is 526 Marsh Road. And Lisa, of course, I will have to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us as we get used to in person again.
No, yeah.
Our first case is case number 2020-122 for an accessory dwelling unit variance. The applicant is requesting two variances for compliance of an accessory dwelling unit. He's requesting a 10-foot variance from the required 15-foot rear yard and a 70 square foot variance from the maximum 800 heated square foot allowance. And I'll give you a minute to look over your findings if you just tell me when you're ready.
Okay, Lisa, you may proceed.
Exhibit number 1 is a vicinity map of the subject property. Exhibit number 2 is a zoning map. The property is an R4 single family. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. And exhibit 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 5 is background. The property was subdivided in 1941, and the home on the property was constructed in 1943. There's a Duke Energy easement shown in the blue area on the property that covers about 50% of the rear yard. There's a pool in the rear yard that has existed at least since 1997, according to aerial photos. Slide 6 is background. In 2019, a permit was issued for a pool house in the rear yard. The proposed pool house was not intended to be used as a dwelling unit at that time and was permitted as an accessory structure. The pool house was proposed to be 5 feet off the rear yard, which was compliant with the 3-foot accessory structure rear yard. Exhibit 7 is further background. In 2020, a notice of violation was issued in response to a neighbor complaint that the pool house was being used as a dwelling. Since it's being used as a dwelling, the pool house is considered an accessory dwelling unit or an ADU rather than an accessory structure. It's subject to the ADU supplemental regulations that the heated area does not exceed 800 square feet and the rear yard be a minimum of 15 feet. The pool house wasn't compliant with these supplemental regulations. Exhibit number 8 is the variance requests. The applicant is requesting two variances to bring the ADU into compliance with the supplemental regulations. A 10-foot variance from the required 15-foot rear yard and a 70 square foot variance from the maximum 800 square feet for an accessory dwelling unit. Slide 9 is considerations. Staff supports the requested variance. The hardship does not result from actions taken by the applicant and do result from application of the ordinance. The use of the pool house as an ADU would not be permitted without the requested variances. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property because of the Duke Energy easement that covers approximately half of the property and reduces the building area in the rear yard. The existing pool encumbers most of the rear building area outside of the easement. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance because it will allow the existing pool house to be used as an ADU, which is an allowed accessory use in the R4 district. Granting the variance will not adversely affect adjacent or contiguous properties because no new structures will be permitted. There's a wooden fence also that encloses the rear yard and partially obscures the pool house structure, and you can see it in the lower right. Exhibit 10 is a photo of the property, and that's the end of my presentation if you have any questions for me.
I
Um,
do. Did the current homeowner build the pool house?
Okay. So I'm still trying to learn how to work the microphone. Is there anybody here to speak in opposition to this case?
No, Chair. There's nobody speaking opposition.
All right, great. Okay. So is there a motion to approve or deny the variance? Board members?
Okay, Dryden, I make a motion to approve the variance.
Is there a second? Motion's been moved by Ms. Deborah Dryden and a second by Raghu Kaka. Now we're moving to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Right. Okay. I promise I'll get myself together. All right. I'm sorry, I apologize about that, to the clerk as well. We have to do a roll call vote. My apologies about that. All right, Mr. Marshall? Okay,
Dryden, yes.
Raghu, yes.
all right, Wilson, yes. Okay, my apologies about that, staff. It's a little bit different in person. Promise we'll get it together. Okay, now, we'll move into the finding facts and conclusions of law.
Make a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law as written.
All right, motions to approve the finding facts and conclusions of law by Mrs. Dryden, second. All right, second by Mrs. Long. All right, now we'll move into a period of vote. Ms. Long? All right, Mrs. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
All right, Mr. Cawthorn? All right, Mr. Williamson? Okay, Wilson, yes. All right. Okay, now the next case we'll move to is case number 2021-107, 2310 Kensher Land Trust.
Street side yard and rear yard variance request. The applicant is requesting 3 variances to construct a single-family home on a non-conforming vacant lot. A 10-foot variance from the required 20-foot setback, a 5-foot variance from the required 10-foot street side yard, and a 10-foot variance from the required 35-foot rear yard. And I'll give you a minute to look at your findings.
Okay, Lisa, you can proceed.
Exhibit 1 is a vicinity map of the property. Exhibit 2 is a zoning map. The property is zoned R5 single family. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. And exhibit 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 5 is background. The property was subdivided in 1927 and is a portion of lots 1 through 11 on the plat, which you can see superimposed over the existing property outlined in green. And I thought I'd have a pointer, but I don't, but you can see it up there. The lot is smaller today because of the right-of-way that was acquired for I-77. The lot has existed in its current configuration dating back to at least 1989 per historic zoning maps. Exhibit number 6 is background. The lot doesn't meet today's minimum lot size requirements and meets the definition of a non-conforming vacant lot since it existed prior to the current zoning ordinance requirements. A non-conforming vacant lot can be used for any use permitted in the district, which in this case would be a residence, provided it meet the setback yards and parking requirements for the district. Exhibit number 7 is the variance requests. When the 20-foot setback, 35-foot rear yard, and 10-foot street side yard are imposed on the property, there's inadequate space to build a home, and you can see that on the left side. The applicant is requesting 3 variances to allow the construction of a single-family home. 10 feet from the 20-foot setback, 5 feet from the 10-foot street side yard, and 10 feet from the 35-foot rear yard. Exhibit number 8 is considerations. Staff supports the requested variance. The hardship doesn't result of actions taken by the applicant because the applicant purchased the property in 2021 in its current configuration. The hardship results from conditions peculiar to the property. The property is triangular and bordered by street right-of-way on 2 sides, and that results in an irregular building footprint. The rear yard is measured as a radius from the rear corner of the property that is furthest from Kennesaw Drive right-of-way. The street side yard of the property abuts I-77, and there's a tall cement wall along that side of the property. And you can see the cement wall, the view from I-77 on the left of the screen. Also, the lot is 2,380 square feet in area, which is less than other lots in the area. Exhibit 9 is further considerations. Unusual hardships would result from strict application of the ordinance because the property has decreased in depth since it was subdivided because of the right-of-way acquired for I-77. Currently, the existing lot depth ranges from 0 to 63.83 feet. So you can see once again, the green is the lot and the old plat is superimposed. So you can see the area used to be a lot greater. The requested variances will not detract from the character of the neighborhood, and the encroachments will not be easy to detect. The street side yard and rear of the property abut I-77 and a cement wall, and the front of the property is at the dead end of Kennesaw Drive. So you can see the Kennesaw Drive dead end on the lower left. Finally, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance, and the applicant states there's sufficient depth for a 20-foot driveway compliant with parking requirements. Exhibit 10 is a photo of the property, and that's the end of my presentation if you have any questions for me.
Is that the wall that we're seeing behind that sign? Wow, that's not much space. So, and is that the trailer or on the right-hand side, is that it says it's something about a trailer on the property? Is that part of the property, that building on the right-hand side?
I think that's part of the property, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the bluish green house. Oh, that's the house on
Yeah,
the
that's
adjacent
the
lot,
next door
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the second lot, okay. Wow. And where will they put the driveway?
They would have to put it over on this side.
Okay.
Would it help to see the aerial again?
Yeah, let me see the aerial again, please.
So the cement wall for 77 is back here,
Right.
and then this is the brick wall.
Oh, okay.
They're not asking for a variance there. They're allowed to be 5 feet from the side. A lot of that will be taken up by the radius of the rear yard.
All right. Are there any more questions for staff?
I don't have any, thank you.
Is there anybody in opposition of this case? Okay, all right, great. All right, is there a motion to approve or deny the variance? Is there a second? All right, motion's been moved to approve the variance by Mr. Katha, seconded by Ms. Long. And now moving to a period of voting. Ms. Long?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Katha, Mr. Katha?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Williamson? Okay, and Wilson, yes. Okay. Now we'll look at the finding facts and conclusions of law. See. Okay, is there a motion to approve the finding facts and conclusions of law?
Dryden, I make a motion to approve the finding of facts and conditions of law as written.
Is there a second? Okay, motion's been moved to approve the finding facts and conclusions of law by Mrs. Dryden, and seconded by Ms. Long. Now we'll move into a period of voting. Ms. Long? Okay, Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Cother? Mr. Williamson? All right, Wilson, yes. Okay. Sorry about that. Our next case is case number 2021-108.
The next case is a residential setback and rear yard variance request. The applicant is requesting 2 variances to construct a residential structure, a 10-foot variance from the required 20-foot setback and a 10-foot variance from the required 20-foot rear yard setback. So I'll give you a minute to look over your findings.
Okay, Lisa, you may proceed.
Exhibit number 1 is a vicinity map of the property. Exhibit number 2 is a zoning map of the property. The property is zoned R22 MF multifamily. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. And exhibit number 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 5 is background. The properties were subdivided in 1944, and you can see the original configuration on the lower left of the screen. In the top left, you can see a 1978 aerial where there's homes on the lot, so they still existed as they were shown on the plat. In 1983, the lots were reduced in size when right-of-way was acquired for Bradford Drive, and that's how they came to be in the shape they are today. You can see the current lot configuration also over here, and here's the plat imposed on top of the current lot configuration. Slide 6 is the variance requests. Since the lot abuts right-of-way on 3 sides, there's a 20-foot setback in the front and the rear of the property. So this would be considered the rear, and this would be the front along Edelman. When the setbacks are imposed, there's an inadequate building area to construct a home on the property. So the applicant is requesting 2 variances of 10 feet from the front and rear setback to construct a home on the property. So this is what the building footprint would look like with the requested variances. Exhibit number 7 is considerations. Staff supports the requested variance with the condition that the parcels be legally combined prior to permitting. The applicant is agreeable to this condition. The lot combination will allow for compliance with the required 5-foot side yard and ensure the structure does not cross a property line. Exhibit 8 is considerations. The hardship is not caused by the applicant because the area of the lots was significantly reduced through the 1983 right-of-way acquisition. Unusual hardships would result from strict application of the ordinance because the depths of the lots were decreased down to 25 to 88 feet. When the 20-foot front and rear setback are imposed on the property, there's inadequate area to build. The hardship results from conditions peculiar to the property because of the triangular shape of the lots and being bordered by street right-of-way on 3 sides, so it results in an irregular building footprint. The lots are 3,717 square feet and 2,235 square feet in area, which is less than other R22 MF zone lots in the area, which are about 5,000 square feet and greater. So you can see that they're smaller. These are the other R22 MF lots. The reduced front and rear setback will not detract from the character of the neighborhood, and the encroachment will not be easy to detect. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance. The applicant states the lot can accommodate a compliant driveway since the existing driveway on the property is greater than 20 feet in length. Exhibit number 9 is a photo of the property, and that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions for me.
What size house are they going to build on this lot? Square footage wise, do you have any idea?
I don't have any idea.
And where will the driveway, which street will the driveway enter this house?
It could be either Edelman or Bradford. They might prefer to use the existing curb cut for Edelman,
Okay.
since that's the front yard.
Are there any other questions for staff? Terry, is there anybody here to speak opposition?
No, Chair, no in opposition.
Okay. If there are no other questions for staff, is there a motion to approve or deny the variance?
I make a motion, Dryden, to approve this variance.
Is there a second? Okay. All right, motion's been approved. Motion's been, excuse me. There's been a motion to approve the variance by Mrs. Dryden and a second by Mr. Cother. Now we're moving to a period of vote. Mr. Cother? All right, Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Ms. Long? Mr. Williamson? Okay, Wilson, yes. Now we will review the finding facts and conclusions of law. And I don't think there needs to be any changes to it since staff said that the approval of the variance request with the following conditions of the approval. So I think that is already included in there. So I don't know if any board members see anything else and that needs to be changed, if anything at all.
The applicant has agreed to this condition.
Yes.
Then Dryden, I make a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been moved to approve the finding, facts, and conclusions of law by Mrs. Dryden, a second by Ms. Long. Now we're moving to a period of voting. Ms. Long? All right, Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Cother? Mr. Williamson? Wilson, yes. That concludes that. We will now move to case number 2021-109.
We do have opposition to this case. There's folks waiting in the waiting area, and also someone in here is in opposition, so we'll need to move it to the regular agenda.
Okay. And this is case number 20-2108, correct? 209, sorry about that. Oh, so that we're moving that to the regular agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next case is a residential side yard variance. The applicant is requesting a 5-foot variance from the required 20-foot side yard to allow the conversion of a single-family property to a small religious institution. And I'll let everybody get settled and read over your findings.
Okay, before Lisa gets started with her presentation, I will have to swear you in. And see, sure here, make sure I have everything. Right. Okay. All right. Do you first, before I ask you to swear in, if you can give your name, full name, and address? Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth of the matter at hand? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Y- Um, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yes. And my apologies, it's a little bit difficult to hear you, so my apologies about that.
I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
Very fine. Okay.
Chair, could you also swear in Shad and Tari? I don't believe
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I don't believe Shad and Tari have been sworn in. Because
Oh. Chad, are you going to be speaking on this case too? Okay. All right, well, I swear you in then. Okay. All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth of the matter at hand? All right. Okay, Lisa, let me start.
Exhibit 1 is a vicinity map of the subject property. Exhibit 2 is a zoning map. The property is zoned R3 and is single-family residential. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. And Exhibit 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 5 is background. The subject property is currently in residential use, and the applicant would like to have a small religious institution on the property. Residential uses require a 6-foot side yard, and non-residential uses require a 20-foot side yard. The established side yard of the 1968 home is 15 feet, and changing the use of the property requires compliance with the 20-foot side yard. Exhibit number 6 is the requested variance. The applicant is requesting a 5-foot variance from the required 20-foot side yard to allow the conversion of the property to a religious institution. And so they're adding this structure in the back, which will have some seated area of 32 seats. And that qualifies in our zoning definitions as a religious institution. So it will be a structure in the rear of the property. Exhibit number 7 is considerations. Staff supports the requested variance. The hardship does not result from actions taken by the applicant. The existing residential use is compliant with the required 6-foot side yard. New proposed development on the property will comply with the required 20-foot side yard for non-residential. Unnecessary hardships would result from the strict application of the ordinance because without the requested variance, the established 15-foot side yard of the existing 1968 home would prevent the conversion to a small religious institution. Granting the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, and the adaptive reuse of the existing home will assist in maintaining that neighborhood character. The applicant provided an elevation of the proposed development, and it's in keeping with the neighborhood character. So let's see if we can move this. I can see it. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance. Granting the variance will only constitute approval of the existing home encroachment. The applicant's provided site plan of the proposed addition is conceptual and does not include all site requirements that will be necessary for the change of use. Subsequent land development plan review of the site for the change of use after the variance process will ensure site compliance. Exhibit 8 is photos of the property, and you can see the view from Providence Road and the view from Folger Drive. And that's the end of my presentation, if you have any questions for me.
Lisa, are there any requirements for parking when they do religious institutions on lots?
That's a good question. Yes, there's a requirement for 8 parking spaces for the 32 seats in the place of assembly. So they would be required to provide those 8 parking spaces.
And so excuse me, so this existing house would also be, it would no longer be a private residence. It would be part of the new institution.
That might be better addressed to the applicant.
Okay.
No, that will be our institution, our house, excuse me. That will be our primary.
Your primary residence. Okay.
The rabbi lives there now and will continue to live in the house just as he does now.
Okay.
I can control the max of your.
Well, right now, I'd like to think that that would be an issue. We have, it's a kind of very small group, we'll call it a small ministry, so to speak. Right now, I'm sorry, right now, we're somewhere between 14 people to maybe 20 people when we meet at a religious service. So we're not even coming anywhere near that figure. So that's just, a projected thing for the future, but I don't, we just haven't had to discuss, even on our high holidays, which is a busier time, the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which has been done in previous years, it would be done off-site somewhere else, or we just haven't in the last few years had that many people. So it just has not been an issue. Nowhere near.
Well, along Krista's line of questioning, my issue is that, you say there won't be 32, but if we grant this provision, unless a neighbor complains or whatever, then, that could be upped down the road and there wouldn't be any way for us to check that because we've already approved the variances. But, that's just a concern that I have, that you say right now, but you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years.
We've been here many years where we're not, what do we say? We have not been the model of a large institution. It's a individual family by family thing. And most of what we do is not even so much the religious service as much as I do programs on university campuses. I deal with some high school students. I do marriage counseling. So it's a bit of a different model, we'll call, for a synagogue than the huge institutions that are right now on Providence Road in Sholem Park. It's just a completely different model.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board for staff?
Yes.
The existing house is going to remain as a house,
Correct.
but the setback is necessary in order to make the whole property conform with the use.
That's correct. And we're gonna respect that setback, of course, with the new structure.
Where can they place the required 8 parking lots? Do we have any room there?
Yes, there's room for, you want to show the plan?
Lisa,
It would just need to be outside of this
Right there.
street side yard. So within this area.
You have a plan.
this one I think shows, that it was.
And they would ensure compliance with all the requirements through the land development review. So this would just be granting the variance for that existing home encroachment.
Because my understanding is that the original house, when it was built, was out of compliance, right? Because it didn't meet the zoning when it was built. They built it.
When it was built, it met it because the residential setback is 6 feet.
Okay.
So changing the use to the small religious institution requires that 20-foot setback.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Sorry.
Zoning allows for the religious institution on the property?
Yes, yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board for staff? Terry, is there somebody here to speak in opposition? Okay, I'll have to, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I'll have to, swear you in. I don't know if there's a microphone you can come up to there. Okay. So that way the court reporter can hear you. All right. Please state your full name and your address.
My name is Joan Killian, and I live at 7301 Folger Drive.
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand?
I do.
All right. You may proceed.
My concern is somewhat what the board has asked questions about, but also what would seem to be kind of an overwhelming size for this structure, for the residential nature of the houses that are right around it. I'm across the street and up to, I guess, but it's a very large structure, and then 8 parking spaces to add into a little bit over half an acre. And it just seems like it's going to be overwhelming for that part of our neighborhood. And that's my biggest concern right now is how big it is.
Does the applicant want to respond to what was just said?
Yeah, I think in response to that comment, we were very sensitive to, the architectural features of the existing house in trying to keep the structure and the massing of the structure comply or conform to the architecture that's already there. And work in conjunction or complement it rather than being, a huge mess that looks out of place. So I think, we did our best to, with the space that was needed and not wanting to take over the whole site with the structure, is really use the same materials, massing and architectural vocabulary that makes it look like it was always part of the original house. And that was a main goal in the design of the structure. So we didn't really want this to be an outcast on the site. I mean, the rabbi lives there. This is part of their home, and they really want this to feel like it all works together.
I'd just like to add in because I've spoken to some of the neighbors, like they were talking about signage, for example. I have to tell you, as a Jewish person living in America, I do not want to attract attention to my house or my institution. It's our festival of Hanukkah. It's the first year I ever am not lighting my lights in the window. We don't want to draw attention to us. We don't want someone driving by thinking anything differently. So I appreciate your sensitivity, and we're, to tell you the truth, want to be oversensitive to it because landscaping, everything, that's what we like. So
I have a question about I see the site plans here, your second floor. Why does this religious institution require 2 bedrooms?
a lot of the people that I shouldn't say a lot of the people, but it's happened over time. There are people who are Sabbath observant. Sabbath observant means they detach from electronic devices. They don't ride in cars on the Sabbath. We occasionally have visitors who need those type of requirements. There's no hotel anywhere near walking distance. Closest would be the Hampton Inn, which is all the way at Phillips Place. And therefore we accommodate, that's not a money-making thing. It's not a hotel. It's just a service of kindness we do to people who are Sabbath observant. Doesn't happen all the time, but we'd like to be able to offer that. In addition, it could be sometimes I will have a rabbinic intern who's there to help us for a week or two and needs a place to stay. but that's what it's used for. It's used usually, if it's at all, only on the Sabbath once a week. It's not a primary residence or anything.
So in the living area, I see you're providing a sink and a refrigerator. Is a stove appropriate in that space? I don't know.
I don't think,
I mean, I just see it. I don't know what you have there, sink and a,
again, for its purposes, I don't know why I need a stove. We didn't calculate a stove, right? Because it's not made for somebody to live in.
okay.
Yeah, this is just strictly a convenience thing.
Yeah.
Just for them to,
Well, I can understand the refrigerator. I'm just making sure that, I don't want to approve something that down the road could be converted into living, permanent living space, because that would not be in character with the neighborhood to have
Yeah.
apartments there.
Rabbi, is it true that these people just, the people that stay with you just are staying for the weekend for the?
That's what I say. Sometimes it's a Friday night and they're leaving Saturday night. If anything,
Right.
they're staying Saturday night also. It's not, again, and it is not a profit-making thing for us at all. It's just a service that's offered sometimes.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Are there any questions for the neighbor who was here in opposition from the board? Okay. All right.
I do have a question about for the neighbor, the two-story character, is that a problem? I mean, are there two-story houses in your neighborhood? Mhm. But there are some, yeah, well, the infill, yes, okay, I recognize that.
I
Problem.
mean, our house right now is a two-story house. I mean, we have 2 stories, and I think a little down the road from you, I forget her name, Christine, her house is, right, that's there, so I think there are many 2-story houses there.
And you did say, Rabbi, that you were going to be cognizant of landscaping and
Yes.
all that, okay.
Are there any more questions for staff? I mean for the applicant, excuse me. Or for the neighbor that's in opposition? Okay. If not, this concludes the presentation of evidence. The board will now begin its deliberations. Interested parties are not permitted to address the board during this portion of today's meeting. However, everyone is permitted to remain present and listen quietly to the board's discussion and vote. Okay. Board members, we will start our deliberations. You're welcome to, anyone welcome to start to give their reasonings to deny or approve the variance. So I'll start with Mr. Williamson. Ms. Long?
Share the same concerns, the two-person max, the parking, screening and parking, I think it's huge, screening the building to help the aesthetics for the neighborhood. To approve it, I think they asked. Yes, my biggest concern right now is the parking and aesthetics.
Ms. Dryden?
Well, I'm looking at the conclusions of finding of facts, and the number 19 says the applicants provided a site plan for the proposed addition, but it's conceptual and doesn't include all the site requirements. But the site compliance with zoning ordinances will be ensured through the subsequent land development plan. So I'm hanging my hat on that, because they haven't built the structure, we don't have any plans for it. What this variance is asking for is so that they can then develop the site plan, as far as I can see, because they want the 5 foot on one side. So I'll put my trust in the zoning ordinance that through the land development will be prepared, and that they will honor their promise to screen and landscape, and these 8 parking spaces will be screened and obscured or taken care of so that it's not so obvious. So with those things in place, then I would approve this variance.
Mr. Cather?
Yeah, most of my questions are answered, and except for the parking one, I think, as Deborah said, zoning board would take care of that one, and I'm leaning towards approval.
Thank you. And for me, I agree with my fellow board members. I'm moving to approve the variance. I feel like that all the concerns have been addressed, and staff has not found any reason to deny it. And so that is my reasons for moving to approve the variance. With that said, is there a motion to approve the variance?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
Dryden, I'll second.
Motion to approve the variance has been moved by Ms. Long, seconded by Mrs. Dryden. Now we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Ms. Long? Mr. Katha? Mr. Williamson? Wilson, yes. The variance has been approved. Now looking at the finding, facts, and conclusions of law. Mrs. Dryden, you brought up a point about number 19. Do you think we need to change anything there?
I don't believe so, because it says the site compliance with the zoning ordinance will be ensured through subsequent land development plan review after the variance process. So they had to do this first.
Okay,
So I think it's fine the way it states there, because that means that they're gonna have to reapply once they get the building permit,
okay, got it.
or it'll be reviewed anyway.
Any other board members see anything that needs to be edited in the findings, facts, and conclusions of law? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the findings, facts, and conclusions of law as written?
Dryden, I make a motion to approve.
A motion's been moved to approve the finding, facts, and conclusions of law as written. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a second by Ms. Long. Now do a roll call vote. Ms. Long? Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Coughlin? Mr. Williamson? Wilson, yes. Okay. This variance has been approved. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Uh, Now moving to, assuming this is our last one of the day. Case number 2021-096. And we'll just take a moment while we get the paperwork for that. And Lisa, before you get started, just to sake of time, I see that we have applicant here. I'm just going to go ahead and swear you guys in. And okay. All right, if you can, well, I'm waiting for the court reporter. Sorry about that. Are you good? Okay. All right. Can you please state your full name and address? Start with.
Sure. Colin McGrath with Pointer Springs. It's 301 Fayetteville Street, Suite 1900. 60.
Okay.
Rodney Almeida, 4711 Truscott Road in Charlotte.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in. I know that you are an attorney, but still do it. Do you swear do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth in the matter at hand?
Yes.
Okay, Lisa, you may proceed.
All right. This case is a residential lot width variance. The applicant is requesting a 10-foot variance from the required 50-foot lot width in order to establish a lot on which to construct a single-family dwelling. So I'll give you a minute to look over your findings.
All right, you may proceed.
Exhibit 1 is a vicinity map of the subject property. Exhibit 2 is a zoning map of the property. Property is zoned R5, single-family residential. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. And exhibit number 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 5 is background. The subject property is one of 4 properties reestablished in 2021 from a 1928 subdivision plat. The subject lot is identified as a portion of Lot 4 shown on the 1928 plat. This lot was reconfigured during a 2002 subdivision which reestablished 3 of the adjacent lots along Faraday. So in 2022, these lots were reestablished using a portion of this Lot 4. The streets have changed names since 1928, but you can see the adjacent reestablished lots were a portion of Lot 4, along with lots 5 through 7 on the 1928 plat. So this is the subdivision plat from 2002. The remaining portion of Lot 4 was not included on the 2002 plat because it was in use with lots 1 through 3 at the time, and it didn't meet the area or width to be its own separate lot. So there's actually a home located here, and these lots were all in use together for that home. Exhibit number 6 is background. In this aerial, you can see the original 1928 lots imposed on the current lots. So you can see how 4 is kind of split out now. Lot 4 is outlined in green. The original lots 4, 5, and 6 have been slightly reconfigured, but there hasn't been an increase in the number of lots from the 1928 plat. There's still 7 total lots reestablished in the current and 2002 subdivision. Exhibit number 7 is further background. The subject lot is 3,528 square feet, which is less than the required 6,000 in the R5 district. The lot width is about 23 feet, which is less than the required 50-foot lot width. Since the property is a remnant lot and does not meet the definition of a nonconforming vacant lot, so it's not subject to the nonconforming vacant lot requirements. Exhibit number 8 is the variance request. The applicant wishes to combine lot area from lots 1 through 3 to increase the lot area of the subject property. So you can see the existing lot line and where he would like to move the lot line. and increase it over 6,000 square feet for compliance with the minimum lot area, and to increase the lot width to 40 feet, which is 10 feet short of the required 50-foot lot width. So the applicant requests a variance of 10 foot from the 50-foot lot width to allow that 40-foot lot width. Exhibit number 9 is considerations. Staff finds the requested variance does not meet the criteria in the zoning ordinance for granting a variance. The hardship is caused by the applicant because the applicant reestablished a portion of the original Lot 4, Block 3, and the lot is not in compliance with zoning ordinance standards. Unnecessary hardships do not result from strict application of the ordinance. The applicant has other options for compliance outside of the variance request. One option is to combine the subject property with the 3 lots facing Gambia to have 3 compliant lots. Another option is to pursue a rezoning to R6 or R8 or UR1 for the properties. These zoning districts have smaller required lot area and lot width requirements. Granting the variance would alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The variance request would permit a 40-foot lot width, but other lots in the area have lot widths that are greater than 50 feet. The hardship does not result from conditions peculiar to the property. The variance is not consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance. Exhibit number 10 is photos, and this is a view of the property from Faraday, and this is a view of the property from Gambia, and this is that existing home. And that's the end of my presentation if you have any questions for me. Is that good? So these lots were reconfigured in 2002, and these were reconfigured in 2021. Yes. These right here, the outskirts.
Yeah.
Was all one time. Based on it, email it, maybe email. Yeah, there were some hours. Yeah. Some reason they. Yep. Maybe.
There's a home right here on this adjacent parcel to Lot 4 and this existing home. But I don't believe there's houses on this lot or that lot.
The applicant on those lots.
I would have to let the applicant speak to that, but not that I'm aware of, no.
Does the board have any other questions for staff?
Just very quickly, the plan would just be to leave the existing home, combine what is shown as lots 1 and 2, with the existing home, construct a home on what's shown as lot 3, and then the proposed widened lot 4 would also have a home. So 2 additional single-family homes.
But you will also build on lot 7, 8, 9, and 10 as well?
To answer Ms. Long's question, we don't own those lots.
Okay, all right. Got it.
Tell me that again now. You're gonna combine that small little piece that you're asking for variance for with number 5? Or with number 4?
Looking at what's shown on the left here, what's shown as the portion of lot 4 that is not outlined in green, everything there to the corner of Faraday and Weststone, CLT Equities does not own. CLT Equities just owns lots 1, 2, and 3, and what's shown in green on lot 4. So the combination would be portions of 1, 2, and 3, with the remnant lot 4 to widen lot 4. It's only about 23 feet wide as it sits today, to widen that to 40 feet.
But you're
And-
infringing then on lot number 5 that you don't own.
No, ma'am, we're going the other way. So we're taking portions of lots 1, 2, and 3 that we own, adding them to the portion of lot 4 that we own. And it may be a little more productive to put a pin in this one. We've got some illustrations that show this a little better.
Gotcha. Okay. The applicant, do you have any questions for staff based on testimony?
No.
Okay. All right. So that's the case. You have a presentation you would like to give?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Again, my name is Colin McGrath. I'm a land use and zoning attorney with Fuller Sproul out of the Raleigh office. I'm here this morning on behalf of CLT Equities, which is the property owner and the applicant. With me today is Rodney Almeida, the manager of CLT Equities. And as Rodney will tell you here in a little bit when we talk about CLT Equities and their plan for this property, but just to preview that a bit, CLT Equities is a local development firm that focuses solely on small-scale, affordable infill development. So it's that background, it's that business model that led them to this property. 1601 Gambia Street, as Lisa already discussed, actually comprises 4 lots. And I'm going to go a good bit out of order here, just based on some of the questions. So what's shown here is what Polaris shows as far as the tax parcel numbers that Mr. Spencer was discussing briefly earlier. CLT Equities bought the property in June or July of this year. Understanding that based on their title search and their title work, that what was shown at the time as a single tax parcel was actually 4 lots. These 4 lots have never been combined as a record. So to Mr. Spencer's question, when it came time to have the Polaris tax map records reflect what the Register of Deeds has always shown, there was no actual subdivision of land involved. So that's why there was no subdivision approval. There was nothing to subdivide because there was nothing ever recombined. So all that we have as far as a subdivision plat is what was in 1928 that shows lots 1, 2, and 3 in their original shape. And then this is the 2002 subdivision that Lisa mentioned earlier. This 2002 subdivision included a portion of lot 4. This subdivision was approved. It did go through the exempt recombination and approval process. And the current lot 4 as it sits today was a byproduct of this. Because lot 4 was its own tract, this subdivision only involved a portion of lot 4. So what was left after this, which is long before CLT Equities purchased the property, was the remnant, essentially sliver of lot 4 that we see back in the beginning. So I'm happy to answer specific questions on that issue of why there wasn't a subdivision, why there wasn't anything approved and where these lots came from. But the conditions that are shown on this aerial are the same that are shown in the Register of Deeds office. They're the same that are shown, on tax records as it stands today. And these are the conditions that existed at the time Mr. Almeida and CLT Equities bought the property. Nothing that they've done calling GIS to Mr. Almeida can testify about how that went down. Just calling them to ask that the tax records reflect the Register of Deeds records was not a subdivision of land. It wasn't a reestablishment really of any lots. It was just updating all the records to show what the title of the property is. So with that background, and I'll let Mr. Almeida discuss a little bit more about CLT Equities, his goal for the property, as well as maybe answer some of those specific questions about the tax parcel number.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to submit a request for a variance. My name is Rodney Almeida. I'm one of 3 owners of CLT Equities, which owns that lot. My son being a second owner, which is there, and my wife being a third owner. We're a small builder, a local builder. Actually, our, you could say, day job is real estate brokerage. We sell real estate and lease up properties. And then I also have a general contractor's license, so we do try to find some properties where we can create a product, which is basically that product there. I've been building that 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for approximately 6 years in and around the Charlotte area. We do build it as a tenant conscious property to rent it and hold, and we self-manage the property ourselves. I've been in the real estate business for 30 years. My son's been 4, I think, now going to 5. But that's our bread and butter that we've been building for 6 years now in and around Charlotte area. We do have a number of these, probably 11 right now, and we have, I think, 3 lots to build in the next year and a half of that same product. Going to the actual site, actually, that is a new plan that we're trying to put together because obviously rising costs of land as well as materials, it's a challenge now. So we have not built that one. That is the proposed plan to build. It's 1,067 square feet and building the same for less because of cost of material and land that has increased greatly in Charlotte. And the other plan, they're calling the next one. That's our 1,200 square foot 3-2, which you saw pictures of in the past on those. We build these very tenant conscious in the sense of we include HVAC filter changes, pest control. It's an all LVP product. In the floors, no carpeting, and all the appliances are included, including washer and dryer. We also build them with only 2 utilities in mind, electricity and water. We discard gas, so it's less utility deposit on the tenant side. And this is an entry-level rental product. We try to keep them anywhere between $1,200 and $1,450 of rent. So it is an affordable product in the Charlotte area. And I think that's it, unless I missed something. I can now address the site. We're actually trying to carve out from our lot 1, 2, and 3 and bring down lot 4 so it can meet the minimum 6,000 square feet that's required by zoning, but we're short on the lot frontage side and still keeping lot 1, 2, and 3 conforming with the 50 required frontage and 6,000 square feet of area. The intent is for that structure, it is an all brick structure, about 1,400 and something square feet, to stay on lot 1, 2. I think that's 1, 2.
Yeah.
And combine it so it's one lot in itself. Then we would have lot 3, which would be that 1,200 square foot product. And then lot 4 would be that new, smaller 1,067 square foot product. We're all doing this within our own lots. The only true non-conforming lot or doesn't meet the 50 is the new lot 4. Lot 3 is, lot 3 and 1 and 2 meet current zoning.
Rodney, when you were, can you go back a little bit when you bought the property and talk about what happened with the GIS office?
So we've done this in the past before where sometimes there's underlying lots that the actual parcel has not been recombined completely. And you can see them on GIS, they come up with a little line on there. And we purchased them. You only have to send an email to Miss Lisa Drenner, I think her name is. And literally they just put a tax number on them and it becomes a parcel. Since it was already there, there's no need for subdivision because it already exists. That's what happened here on this one. So there was no, it's literally just a formality of sending an email request, the actual underlying lots to be shown and assigned tax numbers, and you have a lot.
So just to be clear, prior to purchasing the property, in connection with your purchase, did you ever find an official recombination of lots 1, 2, and 3 and what remains of lot 4?
No.
So once you bought this property, before you filed the variance, you looked at other ways to use this property, right?
Yes, there are ways to not have to go through the actual variance. It just becomes a very awkward lot. That makes the new lot 4 would have the frontage required, and I can just submit a recombination of these lots, and that, it takes actually less than a variance, but we take pride in building our product, and that jagged lot is just, my OCD would drive me crazy to have that like that. I mean, it even for the actual neighborhood, it's not square. If you look at the entire plat of that neighborhood, it's all, they're 50 or more lot frontage, square lots. So we decided to go through the actual variance to make them all nice and square. But that first option on the left is one that exists and would still yield the house structure as one with those two lots together. That lot B, if you want to call it, and then lot 3 up there, because it does have the frontage and the 6,000 square foot by zoning. It just looks awkward. So we decided to do the actual request for variance so they can sit pretty and square and be uniform with the community and the neighborhood in that area.
And Rodney, is it a little more than awkwardness, or is your OCD? You're a real estate broker. Or in your experience, are there marketability issues with a lot that's drawn as shown on the left?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you put a fence there, it would just be awkward. And I'm sure everybody can see that in the sense of if that would be in the future, 20 years from now would be sold. That is an awkward lot. It just doesn't sit pretty neither on the plat or in the actual neighborhood because you have fences going into all sorts of areas.
So, thanks, Rodney. With that background and looking at the options, the problem that we were faced with when these lots were purchased is lot 4, as it currently sits, is 23 feet wide. It cannot be used for any purpose because it's a remnant of an approved 2002 subdivision that was done by the neighbors and elsewhere in the chain of title before we acquired the lot. So the question we tried to answer is, how do we make use of this lot? We have this standalone lot. How do we make use of that in a way that fits in with the neighborhood and fits in, with the goal of small scale affordable infill? And Rodney's already talked about this a bit, but this is what we came up with. All 3 of these lots, they're lots 1, 2, and 3. Lot 1 is the lot at the top of the page that fronts Faraday Street. This is looking from Gambia. Lot 1 would become the only lot that requires a variance. The only variance that's required is the 10-foot lot width. That parcel as drawn meets the 6,000 square foot minimum lot area for R5. It would comply with all of the base setbacks. It would just be 10 feet narrower than the 50-foot minimum lot width. Lot 2 on the corner, again, meets all the minimum requirements. No variance would be required for that lot. And then what we've done to just clean up the last piece of this issue about there being multiple lots used for different purposes at different periods of time is we propose to, at the same time, just combine what are old lots 1 and 2 to create this larger third lot. And we would leave that lot drawn in a way that doesn't impact the setbacks from the existing home. So we're not creating a nonconformity there. Again, just the development standards, you see the R5, we would comply with the minimum lot area. We didn't talk too much about this other option. We had the problem of how do we make use of the Faraday Street lot. The option on the left here is one that we considered earlier, and it's one that we've had some discussions with staff about. This image on the left would be fully code compliant. We would have that 50-foot lot width at the front setback. That would take away some area from the corner lot. So what we'd have to do is to come in to what would be this larger lot, make up the area that's lost on the corner to maintain the 6,000 square feet. So the odd shapes and the odd drawing here, forgive me, but essentially the gerrymandered lot that's right here, it does have a reason it would be code compliant. As Mr. Almeida said, it's something we could put in an exempt plat today. Based on his experience, based on the existing character of the neighborhood, we don't think that's the best use of this property. We think that the marketability issues created by that, the practical issues created if someone who in the corner lot ever wanted to fence it, creates a hardship and justifies a variance. The second option, and this is really representative of several options that have been kicked back and forth, involves us essentially giving up the fourth lot completely, not being able to use it as a standalone lot, combining it with one or more of the existing lots. And we believe that the strict application of the ordinance in that situation requires us to give up a lot. That is a significant hardship. So again, a very simple request. The goal here was clean lines and fix the problem. Also doing a little bit to clean up the remnant lot and the existence of a home crossing a lot line. And simply a 10-foot reduction. This request, I think it's somewhat odd because we're actually asking for a variance to increase the degree of code compliance. Right now, that lot 4 can't be used for anything. It's too small to do anything with. Even if it were a legal non-conforming lot, it's unbuildable at its current width of about 23 to 25 feet. So with that in mind, our variance request to reduce the minimum lot width would actually result in an increase of the lot width from what's on the ground today. All lots remain compliant with the other individual standards and no requests to vary the setbacks. So the goal behind that would be if you're driving or walking down Faraday Street, the house is set back from the sideline, from the side property lines, just like every other house on the street, on the block. Our position is that 10 feet would almost certainly be difficult to see. So again, with that, we've talked a bit about the unnecessary hardship. We have a lot that can't be built. We have a lot that's a remnant lot from a 2002 subdivision, a subdivision that we had nothing to do with. It was done by the neighbors at that time and then property owners of the adjoining properties at the time. We also believe that the code compliant plans, either the gerrymandered lot lines that gives us use of lot 4 or requiring us to give up that lot 4, either case present a hardship from the strict application of that 50-foot lot width. The conditions here, the hardship here is clearly, in our view, peculiar to the property. That subdivision of portions of lot 4 that left the remnant lot is why we're here. That's not a situation that exists anywhere else. The hardship did not result from actions by the property owner. This is where what really happened in June and July this year, in our view, is important. We did not subdivide these parcels. Nothing we did required any approval. I've not heard from staff that, that what we say happened was not what happened. In other words, nobody has suggested that we've actually illegally subdivided these properties because they've always been subdivided. And I will briefly show that email at the end of the presentation here in a second.
Excuse me, Ms. McGrath, is there any way you can move the black box? I don't know, Terry, if you can move that.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
And then finally, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent. We believe that that's the case here. Allowing this variance, allowing that lot 4 to be used as a standalone single-family lot will add to the availability of reasonable infill development. Allowing it to be used as a smaller standalone lot will also restrict or make less likely the idea that someone comes along, recombines all of this and builds something that just doesn't fit with the neighborhood. And at the end of the day, we believe that this request is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent. So before we wrap for questions, I do want to briefly ask Rodney a quick question about this. Rodney, is Brenda Linker the person you reached out to about GIS?
Correct.
And is this the response that you got to your request to have the tax numbers reflect that those are 4 parcels?
Correct.
And is that her response that nothing has been recorded to show them as combined?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we've gone back and forth a bit on whether a subdivision exists here, whether this is something we need to consider as a rezoning. This is an unusual set of circumstances with the lots never being recombined. We believe we've proposed a reasonable, justified solution, and we would ask that the board grant the variance.
Thank you very much. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Please, can you show me the slide again that shows what you propose the property to look like if we approve this variance?
Sorry, I'm sure there's a faster way to do this. Let's go to this one. So this is our proposal. 3 lots. One with the existing home that is just under 12,000 square feet. The lot on Faraday, just over 6,000 square feet. That's the lot with the 40-foot width. And then we have the fully code compliant lot at the corner, 50-foot lot width from Gambia and 6,000 square feet minimum.
And the lot 3 is the one that has the permanent dwelling already on it?
Yes, this lot has the permanent dwelling. It's shown on the survey, as well as the setbacks are marked on the survey.
Tend to keep that existing house on those 2.
Honestly, it depends on the variance. Because it's all at the end to try to keep the affordable housing and the entry level rental. Well, we paid for that. If I'm able to spread it on the 3, yes, it'll be renovated and rented. If I only get 1 lot, I have to bring back some of the cost basis so I can keep my lot price low to be able to offer that rent. So it all depends. That's still up in the air. It's been sitting on site there, just waiting to see what we do. It needs about 40-ish, $50,000 of renovation because it is badly hurt inside. It's missing a lot of things.
Take that. That impact.
No, as soon as we go to 50, then these become non-conforming, right? I'm correct, yeah, because we've kept them all conforming. Actually, that's still a very large lot for that area. Altogether is an extremely large lot for the neighborhood because they're all 50 by 100 or so, 150. So that one becomes, the one on the left is completely conforming. That's a larger than the neighborhood, but it's conforming. Only the top one, which is still lot square footage conforming, is just the frontage will go from, instead of having to be 50, it goes to 40, which is where that smaller plan that I have there, the 1,067, fits in the 40-foot lot frontage lots.
That lot at the top. Does that impact your?
Yes, and actually, it would even make that existing house, there'll be an infringement because of the setback. If we bring that 10 more feet, if you see the setback is right at the end of the house. I'm not sure if you see it. So that box that it has a footprint, it fits right inside. If I bring that down, I gotta bring the setback down. Now the house isn't even conform. So it's like everything fit by luck right in the actual footprint. Only 1 lot is literally not conforming only on the lot frontage side.
How short is the rear setback if you did that?
How short is the rear?
If you brought that lot to compliance?
Say that again, I'm sorry, I apologize.
If that top lot is a 50-foot wide lot, you're infringing on the other two lots back to rear yard setback.
Correct. Well, 10 feet, so the same 10 feet that I need to go to 50 on top would come into the house by 10 feet.
Lisa, I have a question. There was a part in your presentation towards the very end when, and I could be wrong, when you said that if the variance is approved, it will alter the neighborhood. What did you exactly mean by that?
So what I meant by that is this lot would be 40 feet. It's being created. And then all the other lots are at least 50 feet or greater. So it does set a new standard for the neighborhood. It's going to be smaller width than all the other lots.
Okay.
I appreciate that, and I hope, just to you and Lisa for saying, I hope you didn't think I was joking when I really said I really appreciate our call we had a week or so ago. I think the problem with that is if we make that 50-foot wide across the entirety of this lot runs into size issue. Lot can't be 6,000 square feet. It comes down 10 feet more. Because if you recall, we have to come in here and go out there just 50 feet. So. Which I think.
But you would have to request a variance.
Right, and I think that, these are all things that, we believe that we've requested the least burdensome variance, the least, essentially the one that solves the problem most efficiently. I think if we're getting into lot size variances, if we're getting into, side yard or rear yard variances, simply, in short, we think it's cleaner to do it this way. It's more marketable to do this way. This way, I think we just respectfully disagree that this would alter the neighborhood. We're talking about a 10-foot variance that would allow development that very much fits in the neighborhood.
Now also, I'll throw in a real life situation is, and we had the discussion of budget, if I get into another variance request, and I respect your opinion, it just gets to a point that these lot costs is just chasing down that rabbit hole. It just becomes a situation where I would just build the one house and then that lot 4 sits there and it can be used for storing trailers or something. I'm just saying, but it just gets to a point where I'm so cost sensitive to try to get that rent. We were buying 6 years ago lots for 15,000 in Charlotte. Now they're 65,000. So we've had to create situations like this one where we can get almost, you could say, a free lot so that we can keep our affordability in. Because if we get into a $65,000 lot plus the cost of build of 120, site work, water, sewer, tap fees, that under 1,500 affordability is out the door. So it gets to a point where we questioned ourselves. Actually on Monday, we spoke and said, look, we might pull it, So we were very sensitive on the price wise. If I have to, it's been there 6 months, house is sitting there waiting, it gets to a point, and again, nothing to do with what your opinions are, and I respect it, but it's to a point that it's very hard to be able to keep throwing money to make it and try to keep my product, my objective of keeping that rent low. It's just challenging. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. Yeah. No.
Houses to have three houses.
Correct.
I think, sides.
Yeah.
Running an alternative out there for you.
I mean, which again, it would include the rear yard, but also the lot area.
Yeah,
And we're, yeah,
it throws that lot.
Build a lot on it, build a house on that lot.
right.
Will be too many.
That's certainly, the cheapest way to do it. I think Mr. Almeida testified a little earlier that the marketability, the practical issues with what that lot would look like, it's worth it to him, as a developer and an owner, who holds these for rental, to have the clean lot lines, to not put himself or others down the chain of title in that position. So the short answer is yes. I mean, we could go out there and do that this afternoon. But the variance request, we believe, addresses some of the problems that creates.
And you got to rezone the UR1 for that existing house down. Y'all do any site plan, like how many parcels? How many of the lot?
That's not our model, since we have that rental product. And our business is not really into trying to add density. That actually will be more out of uniform for the neighborhood than just doing that. And even if you would look at the actual plat going back to the regular, that was always option one, the easiest, path of least resistance. But if you look at the plat, everything is pretty and square. It would just be awkward. And if we happen to have to put a fence, or in the future that would sell or whatever, it's just an irregular, lot.
Well, my concern is the actual width, a 40-foot lot, when none of the other houses in the neighborhood are 40-foot lots. That's going to stick out. It's going to be obvious that you built, you have an oblong piece of property. That's not square because it's 10 foot shorter. So aesthetically, I can see where it's not, it's going to look awkward on that piece of property because it's only 40-foot wide. And it will be very obvious it's only 40-foot wide when you get it built and all the other properties are 50-foot. And I understand, you want it square and all that, but you also knew that going in when you bought this property, that there was this funky little piece of land. That
What's the neighbor to the south? There's a lot adjacent to the south. Single building. Okay. Personally, I don't think three smaller houses.
This is a residential home. I am unsure of what this was. I don't remember seeing anything besides residential when I drove down there, but, the applicant knows they can state it.
I'm not 100% sure. It does look like a shelter and maybe an RV, like all the others behind. There's a lot of trees and coverage in that whole neighborhood, so sometimes you don't see the property that much, but I'm not sure. It's a big amount.
So I was looking at this and, I think there's an option. So right now, three performing lots, one, I guess we could say is non-conforming. So like in the zoning ordinance, so what happened here was not subject to the subdivision. I will agree to that, but they're still subject to the zoning ordinance, which unfortunately the establishing lot line, but where some of these provisions. And what they say if we call it a non-conforming lot, what chapter 7 talks about is a non-conforming vacant lot shall not be used by the same person owner before the. So right now, they hold on. So supposedly, that four should have been combined according to the. So I think, look at three lots instead of 3.5 we're trying to get four. I think, go back to what as long as one option, still get 3 lots at the end of the day. Have that, right down 4, be 50 feet in width. The lot on the corner, lot 2, would go from 6,010 square feet to like 5,500 square feet. And then, so you'd have, for 500 square foot variance, on lot size for that one. And then have the other two, a condition that those 2 lots be combined into one. And then get a rear yard variance of 6 feet. So like if it's 4 feet from 35, then so get a 6-foot variance for the rear yard. And that, in my mind, that's just like we're discussing. Yeah, we appreciate the discussion. At this point, we've made this request. We still believe it's the cleanest, most efficient way to solve the problem, including keeping all of the lots at the minimum lot area, which we think is more impactful to the neighborhood. And we would request it.
Going back to Ms. Triumph's comment on the 20-foot lot, even if we cut out and there happens to be a fence there, it's still even, I think, more. And even if I go out and do that jagged lot, which goes back to the building line and goes back up, it still looks, I think that sticks out even more when you have a square fence going back in. Than just having a thing like 10 feet. And we can disagree on this, it's hardly on a 50-foot lot. When you're driving by, there are some 65-foot lots, frontage, some 50s. There's a little bit of scattered lots in there, so that 10-foot, with that nice floor plan that I have, you can barely tell, but if I do any other, and I have to cut out and put a fence line there or stuff like that, it brings attention to that. That is definitely not.
For that top lot, number 1, where's the frontage for the house? So the frontage would be on the left.
Yes. Which the house next door is also that. And then these ways can be.
Can you go to the slide that has the model homes on there, see what it look like? And the next one, I think there was like an actual, yeah, here we go. All right. So you said the front door will be on, okay.
So it's not going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
It's gonna be the same concept, just change the width and 132 square feet to same as the other. The little footprint.
Are there any other questions for the applicant or for staff?
Structure there, it go back to my. It's just gonna cost.
If there are no other questions for the applicant or staff, and applicant, if you're finished with your presentation, okay. Then this concludes the presentation of evidence. The board will now begin its deliberations. Interested parties are not permitted to address the board during the portion of today's meeting. However, everyone is permitted to remain present and listen quietly to the board's discussion and vote. Okay, so now we are in deliberations. I will start, I think I'll start with you, Mrs. Long. You,
So first, I can appreciate the fact that you're trying to petition that lot that's now section 9.205, which is the minimum lot width of 50. So that's sort of where I'm torn right now. You did know it was unbuildable when you purchased it, based on its current condition. And it, it is unusual circumstances, so I'm clearly on the fence here. But I'm inclined at this point to deny it, but I'd like to hear what my fellow board members think.
Mr. Williamson?
Yeah, I question how this would, how staff would look at this. So this is passed, how it would fall into plan and treat these things. How likely it reads it. I'm torn between that. I think it improved the neighborhood, frankly. Based on what I see with other pictures of other houses in the neighborhood, and it would shoot you, it gives the community another alternative for affordable housing. So I toward as well. I don't know the decision.
Hey, Mrs. Dryden?
Well, I like the condition that Chad put forth that we put, if we approve this, that it goes into the finding of facts that you agree to combine those two lots into one so that it doesn't come back before this board or another zoning board that you want to subdivide that lot. Because that would just be egregious to me, that you come back in a year or 2 years and say, okay, well, we've decided we want to tear that house down, we want to build two. So, because, I mean, I do have some concerns about the lot size. I do agree that we need affordable housing. I do agree that you, from your drawings, you do a good job with that. And I do share Mr. Williamson's concerns about when we move into this new zoning ordinance, that a lot of things are going to change. But with that restriction in place, that you will combine, what is it, lots 3 and 4? 1 and 2. That lots 1 and 2 would be combined into one lot and no longer be two lots. What is it?
So it is confusing. It actually is former 1 and 2. And we can work with Chad on
I
that.
just have to, we're in deliberation, so he can't. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're in deliberation, so he can't.
Yeah, well, whatever the 2 lots are on the right-hand side. You show that on that, it's lot 3. But if they're not really combined, if you go back to the plat, what you're saying is they were subdivided before you bought the property. It seems to me it would have been in your better interest to argue that they weren't subdivided and you could just buy the whole lot and then just subdivide it yourself, but, so with that stipulation, and if you agree to that stipulation, then, I will vote to approve this.
Mr. Kata?
Yeah, in the interest of, again, I do agree with Lisa and everyone here. It does increase the value of neighborhoods, especially because if you look at the other lots, there are a lot of crooked lots too. Some of them are 50 width and some has more than 50 width. And some of them are in weird shapes too. I don't mind having 40 feet, but as long as it increases the value of the neighborhood. And also it does, affordability housing is one of the key things. A lot of people cannot afford this kind of houses. So I'm in favor of yes, approving it.
I agree with Mrs. Dryden. I am leaning to approving it, but I like what Shad had presented. If we can approve the variance and then add something in the findings, facts, and conclusions of law about the, I don't have the lot number in front of me, but about trying to make those lots more within the required setback. I think that that would be a good solution to this, because just from what I'm hearing from our board members, they're inclined to approve it. It's just that we would like to see something in the finding facts, conclusions of law that will help get the property into compliance.
That's a good, I don't know if we can make that stipulation though. I mean, I'd like some assurance that you're not gonna put a duplex or a quadruplex on it. I mean, I know you say it's not in your current plans, but like anything else, plans are fluid and they change.
But can we even make that?
I don't know.
don't
That's
think
what
we can, yeah.
legally, I don't know that
don't think
they're
we can.
required once, I mean, it's his property.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. All right.
All right. Oh, I see what you mean. Mhm. I don't know, if he owns the property though, and it's single family size of the lot, I theoretically, he could come back and put anything he wants to on there under the new ordinances that are coming out.
And,
Um,
I have
He
a,
wouldn't have to ask for a variance. He can just, I mean, he would incur costs because he'd have to tear that house down and build two more. Um, But I don't see that he's not tied to that once he owns the property.
yes. I was
Mr.
about to
Chair,
call
if I
him.
may, I would suggest maybe reopening it up to let staff
That's how I was going.
address those questions, because I think that may be very
I
helpful.
was literally just about to ask you if we can do that. Is there do I have to vote to open back up deliberations, right? Okay. All right, so let's end deliberations at this moment and so we can address questions to Shad and Lisa. Um, All right, great. Mr. Wright, did you have a question for
Well-
staff?
I mean, if we put in the finding of facts that that the landowner agrees to combine what would have been parcels 1 and 2, I guess, into one. But once he owns that, correct? I mean, he can, especially with the new ordinance that are coming, as far as I can understand, my understanding of the new ordinances. Once you own the property, you can, within limits, build quadruplexes and duplexes. I'm sure there'll be some restrictions about size of lots or distance from property lines, but, nothing would stop him from doing that, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So currently with it being R5, the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet. And to put a duplex on a corner lot, the minimum lot size has to be 10,000 square feet. So that existing corner lot today could not be developed as a duplex.
Right.
Now, like y'all know, and y'all mentioned, the UDO is under review and next year will hopefully be adopted, and the things may change. So yeah, so next year, right now, we can say for lots 1 and 2 that be a condition that it be combined, but if next year the ordinance changes where their density goes away, duplexes are allowed on all lots, just hypothetically, then they could potentially develop it under that new UDO as they choose.
Because as far as I know, I've not seen, I know we don't have all the specifics, but I haven't seen any lot size for duplexes in the new UDOs.
That's correct.
But whether we grant this variance or not, that could happen.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
Correct.
yeah. Yes.
Since we're already talking about adding one. Essentially, keeping these lots consistent.
Right, as long as he owns the property, but if he decides to sell it, I mean, but yeah, I get it. I mean, I appreciate that. I do.
No, I have questions for city attorneys. We can't, as a board, take into consideration about what Mr. Dryden just said, right? Like if we approve the variance, he sells the property. That's pretty much out of our jurisdiction. Am I correct on that?
I agree with that, yes. I mean, I know that. I was just throwing it down.
Oh, no. I was just making sure that we weren't, if that we weren't inclined or to consider that or something. Yeah. Mhm. So I guess my question to the property owner is, would you consider, the suggestions from staff to try to bring the variance in compliance with what they're considering at all? Yes. I'm saying. Okay. That's specific. Okay, got it. Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna just move us back into deliberations just to make sure that the board members have, voiced their opinions before we move into voting. Anything else that you all want to share, or I guess, that's on your mind about this? All right. Okay, if not, this will end the deliberations and then we'll go into voting. So is there a motion to approve or deny the variance?
Go ahead. Go.
Motion to approve? Okay. Is there a second?
All right, I'll second with the stipulation that we amend when we get there, to the finding of facts to indicate that the landowner has agreed to combine the two properties into one in the plat, so that it's not 4 lots, but only 3.
By Robert's rules, can we do that? Can we do a second like that? We can? Okay, just want to make sure. All right, okay. All right. Motion's been moved by Mr. Ragu and seconded by Mrs. Dryden. Did you get everything that she said? Okay, all right. All right, moving to a roll call vote. Mrs. Dryden,
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Ragu?
Both are yes.
Sorry. Ms. Long, yes? And Mr. Williamson? Wilson, yes. Okay. I'm sorry, I was about to call you Chris by your first name. Sorry about it. Okay. So now we move into the finding facts and conclusions of law. So Ms. Dryden, there's some new language you'd like to put in there?
And I don't know where to number it.
It'll probably be number 23, I would assume. Ms. Sanchez Myers and Ms. Hagler Gray, would that just be number 23? Could we just add it as a brand new fact, or do we have to include it in a already in a fact that's already there?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Here it is right here. My apologies about that. So it'd be number 30 then.
So the property owner agrees to. See, I don't know how to identify the lots because you changed them so.
Chad,
Uh,
any suggestions?
to make sure that where the single family, the already existing dwelling, that be 1 lot.
So,
So that would be lot numbers 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
so just for the court reporter, are we going to say property owner will combine lots 1 and 2? Anything that needs to be added to that sentence?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Now we have to go back through this and because change a lot of it. All right, so like for example, number 18, says the hardship is caused by the applicant. So
Yeah.
do we leave that?
That's a good question. Do we leave that or do we put the hardship is not caused by applicant? I do.
So in order to grant variance, you have to conclude all four elements, that the hardship is not caused by the applicant.
Okay.
So if you left it in there, that would be inconsistent with your.
That's what I thought. So we have to say the hardship is
Is not.
not caused.
Okay.
Unnecessary hardships
Do not result from the strict
will
application.
do result though from strict. We got to take out not. If we're gonna approve this, then we're gonna have to say unnecessary hardships
Yeah.
do result from
Would
strict
result.
application of the ordinance.
And then number 21, it says the applicant has other options for compliance outside of a variance request. Since we added number 30, can we strike number 20? What was that I was reading? Number 21? Can we do that? All
I
right.
think number 22 goes along with
Yeah. I
with
think
that.
So number 21 and 22?
Yeah, because 22 says an option for compliance is to combine the subject property with the 3 lots. So that we're not asking them to do that.
Okay.
And then number 23, we're striking that option too, so that's out.
Okay. I think 24 and 25 stay, 'cause those are codes. So, okay, 26, when we said granting the variance would alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Not alter.
Yeah, it does not alter. Okay. Which request would permit. Do we need number 27 in
I
there?
don't think so.
I don't think so.
And the hardship does result from conditions peculiar to the property. That's 28, yeah. So you're taking out the word not.
Okay.
And then number,
You said we should leave 27? Oh, okay.
Saying, why wouldn't you leave 27 since that's exactly what happened?
Would permit 40 foot, but other lots in there. Unless we change it, because they have but other lots in the area, would have lot widths that are 50 feet or greater. That's true, yeah. Okay. All right, well, let's keep 27 then. Let's
can
keep,
you just take out the word but if you want to leave 27 in? Variance request would permit a 40-foot lot width. Other lots in the area have lot widths that are 50 feet or greater, not a but. Correct.
okay, so, okay. So keep, and then,
And then 29, the variance is consistent.
yeah. Okay,
And then 30, we added that the landowner will combine lots 1 and 2 in the government exhibit number 6. Necessary hardships would result. Strict compliance to the ordinance.
where are you now?
I'm under conclusions.
Conclusions, okay, all right, no, you're fine.
Number 2, the hardship does result from conditions that are peculiar to the property.
Hardship results from actions taken by the applicant,
Hardship
results from action,
does not result.
yeah. Okay,
And the requested variance is consistent with. I
and
think that's all of them. I didn't see anything else.
we take out not on the public safety. Okay,
Before you take out the word not.
okay, both various, okay.
And I'm sorry, just for
Yes.
clarification, in number 4, the conclusions of law, take out the not consistent, but there's 2 other nots in that sentence that you
Yes, that's what I was
probably-
referring to.
Okay. That's not.
We're taking out both knots in number 4. Okay, all right.
And substantial justice is achieved.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the finding facts and conclusions of law as edited?
I make a motion to approve the finding of facts and conditions of law as amended.
Amended. Is there a second? Okay. Motion to approve the finding facts and conclusions of law as amended has been moved by Ms. Dryden and seconded by Mr. Katha. Now we move into a roll call vote. Mr. Katha,
Yes.
Ms. Dryden,
Dryden, yes.
Ms. Long, Mr. Williamson. Wilson, yes. Okay. That concludes this case. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. Last thing on our agenda for today is the October minutes, and I think my minutes got lost over here in the shuffle.
Oh, we're hurrying. Let's put it together, Mister. Here we take it just 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll take a quick. No, you're fine. We'll take a quick 5-minute break and come back for the minutes. I'm sorry, I was just on a roll, so I was just. Okay, so as we continue to eat your lunch, does everybody have a copy of the minutes from October in front of them? Okay. Really have to give our court reporter a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know how she's able to type all this stuff up and but so. Yeah. Was October's meeting one where we had that long diatribe from that guy? Oh yeah. And I was emailing, I was texting and emailing Jill back and forth for advice on how to get through it. Did not know what to do. It took a long time. Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October 26, 2021? Okay. Motion's been moved and properly second to approve the meeting minutes from October 26, 2021. Do a roll call vote. Mrs. Dryden? Ms. Long? Mr. Williamson? Mr. Katha? All right, Wilson, yes. Okay, the next thing that we have to vote on and discuss is two things. One, Lisa brought to my attention that we have, is it 2 appeals or 3? We have 2 HG appeals that have been sitting in the docket now for a year. So I had suggested to Lisa that we try to do this one in January. I don't know if we'll have time to do that on December 13th, because from what I've been seeing, our meetings, we've been averaging at least 5 or 6 cases. And you put 2 appeals on there, we'll never get to it. So with that said, I think if I'm looking at calendar right, the January meeting will be, looks like January 25th. I think that's the last Tuesday, January. I'm sorry. Huh?
So
Okay, that's right.
Told staff and the attorney's office, and it looks like January 20th is a good date to do a special meeting for the HDC appeals, and that would be in addition to the regular ZBA meeting.
So we'll have 2 meetings in January then. Got it.
What day is the 20th?
That's a Thursday.
I'm out of town, so.
Okay. So that one. Yeah, as long as we have four people. Wait a minute, but we need everybody for the appeal, right?
So
By January, won't they approve people's board?
I forgot about John. We got to reach out to John then to see if John can make it.
should the members here be available?
I'm here. I can be here.
That's the 20th. So again, we'll have 2 meetings in January. We'll have the appeals meeting on the 20th, and then our regular scheduled meeting on the 25th. Similar to December. Yeah. So I tell you what, Terry, let's just go ahead and email everybody and ask if the 20th is available. And if not, then I don't know another day in January we could do it. I wouldn't want to push it to February because these have been on the docket for a year.
Are y'all available on the regular meeting date of the 25th?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, just making sure.
But then I guess my concern is, would we be able to hear the appeals? Because we don't know how big our agenda is going to be that day. I mean, look at today. I mean, we didn't hardly have anything, but that one, the case took 45 minutes. So, yeah.
Last month, it was almost 2 o'clock before we were done.
Yeah. They are. They like for the appeals, they both, and yeah, they take more time. I mean, I feel like,
I know, me too.
I mean, I felt like we were both judge and jury, like literally with that one. So so Terry, let's just go with the 20th and the 25th. I guess we can ask for those 2 dates. Chad, Lisa, do you know of any other dates? 'Cause I know we also have, when is the government center closed for MLK Day? That's coming up too. Is that the 17th? Okay, yeah. So think about that too. So Ruggo, you can't be there, right?
Yeah.
You're not. So that would only be me, Deborah,
Unless,
and we don't know where John is.
unless they approve, it's on the agenda, maybe they.
If they do, I doubt it. They got to go. They got to go for orientation, right? Yeah. So okay, all right. So probably let's do this. Let's do it for the 25th, and for the agenda, I think we're just going to have to do the appeals first, and then if we can't get to the cases, then unfortunately we're gonna have to table it, which may actually happen. That may, or do we just take the cases that we were here on the 25th and move them to February? Could,
One case filed for.
or January?
Now, the deadline to file is the 24th.
Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna get any more. Well, yeah, you're not gonna get any more. And then you're gonna get a bunch of pissed off emails at the beginning of January trying to file for that meeting.
So we have several weeks to add more to the January hearing.
Yeah.
I think we should just, sign a long day.
Yeah.
Just know that the 25th is gonna be a long day.
On day, yeah.
I don't know. Have we heard from anybody pushing for them? I mean, the appeals, I'm sure they have.
No.
Okay, so let's just go with the 25th, and we just explain to the board members that aren't present and the ones that are, that there could be a long day. And then, yeah, I looked at my I don't have anything on my calendar.
Does anyone have to leave?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go with the 25th. And I know I'm probably jumping the gun there. When we get there, we can decide to just move up the appeals to the beginning of the agenda. And then if the other cases are not heard, then we will have to move them to February. Yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, all right.
When is the deadline for someone to submit?
See, I mean, I'll be surprised.
Do we have on the December agenda?
Shit.
Three, but two of them kind of lumped together, the ones that it's an appeal and a variance. That one could take a little bit.
So that appeal, do they have attorneys on both sides?
There's not attorneys on both sides.
Is the meeting for sure on
Mr. really doesn't know.
Well, we're gonna, actually, we guys should discuss that next. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, vote on that.
yeah. All right, so good segue to December.
My calendar, don't mean by doing my iPad.
Yeah, good segue to December 13th. That is is that on Tuesday? That's a Monday, okay.
So. I said that I couldn't be here. So.
Couldn't be.
On what day?
December 13th. So John is gonna be here? Okay, okay.
And I'll be here.
Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. I mean, okay, so December 13th now, Terry had brought to my attention, we have to decide on a time. I mean, is 9 a.m.? Oh, so do we have to do an actual vote here for that? Okay, all right. So is there a motion to move our December meeting from its original date to December 13th at 9 a.m.? It would be an in-person meeting.
I make a motion to move the December meeting to Monday, December 13th at 9 o'clock.
Okay, is there a second? All right, motion's been moved and properly second. Now moving to a roll call vote. Mr. Williamson? Okay, Ms. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Dryden?
Yes.
Ms. Cotta? Mr. Cotta?
Yes.
All right, Wilson, yes. Okay, so there it is. And that pretty much concludes our meeting today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second? All right. Let's do a roll call vote on the motion. Do I have to do a roll call vote on the motion too?
No.
Okay, all right, then we adjourn.